Hi everybody, it's me again, Mr. McNichol. How you doing? Well, this is our Wednesday video lecture, and so today I'm going to be talking about primarily what we're going to be doing when we meet next Monday. And if you manage to get ahead of the game, basically just getting you the stage set for our next couple of pieces, okay, with regards to our midterms and our final drafts for those midterms and other stuff we're going to be doing after that. Okay, but today, basically, when we meet again, now what you should have already done is turn in both a snapped copy of your rough draft at the M14 module or M14 lesson where it says turn in your rough draft. And hopefully you were there on Monday and you gave me a paper copy as well. I asked folks to give me both an electronic copy and a paper copy because the darn things just don't seem to always get to me through Canvas. Okay? So make sure you get those to me. You've already had your peers look your papers over, and now I'm going to look them over. I'll give my comments. I won't be able to write on them on the electronic ones, but I'll do all that I can over the next couple of days. And I'll give you your worked on copies by Monday. Now also, next Monday, we're going to do another M14 activity. It's an in-class activity. You're going to get together in your groups again, and you're going to evaluate a website. They will give you several websites to choose from. You're going to pick one of them, and then you're going to go online, and you're going to evaluate one of them and answer a few questions, like what is the link to the article or website? Who's responsible for that website? Is it, for example, a reliable group, like a news group that's been around for a long time? Or is it Joe Smuckatelli's blog saying that the aliens have landed and are replacing us? Something like that. Okay? Last, when was the last modification on the website? You can sometimes find those in little dates in little corners of the website to see. But when was the last modification? That'll tell you how reliable it is. Remember, we don't use stuff that is over 5 years old unless, of course, it's supposed to be that old. And we can talk about pieces like that as well. Okay? You're also going to do a search for a purpose or a mission statement for that website. You're going to see if you can detect any bias. Everybody has biases. Tell me which bias is evident in that particular website. Okay? Tell me who's advertising or sponsoring. Sometimes that could depend. That could influence as to what's being reported and how. Okay? Does the website seem professional? Why or why not? And you're going to basically tell me, summing it up, is this article or website a good source for an academic paper, and then why or why not? Make sense? Okay, so that's going to be what we're going to be doing as a group exercise when we meet again on Monday. Now, when you do your prompts, you can start looking at this at M15 to get an idea if you want. Okay? You're going to give me, once we actually start working on your actual final papers, we have about 6 or 7 weeks left, but it's not too early to start thinking about your final papers as well. Now, your midterms are going to be the ones that you handed to me and that I hand back to you, and then you're going to give me your final drafts. Those are going to be the M14 piece. In M15, we're going to start looking at your final papers. Okay, we're going to start looking and seeing what we do to get those together with. Okay, now you're going to be choosing between 2 prompts. One, pretend you see 2 business opportunities you really like. I'm not a business guy, but I've got sons who are, and so far no daughters who are business people either, but who knows, we'll see what happens. Okay. You've got a business opportunity in 2 different countries, and each one is willing to let you live there for the next 5 years. Which foreign country would be better, and why to live in for you for the next 5 years? Or pretend you're job hunting. Especially here in Texas, with jobs just kind of falling from the sky for everybody, this one might be a very sweet one to start practicing and working on. Okay? You've been offered comparable, that means pretty much the same positions at 2 organizations. Well, you're going to make them up and you're going to pick the organizations. Okay? They can be companies, charities, universities, governments. In my case, schools. Okay? You'll have the fewest problems if you choose 2 big Fortune 500 companies, because a lot of articles will be available on them. And then you answer the following question: which organization's job offer is better for you and why? Okay? So those will be your prompts. Okay? Also in lesson, by the way, before I forget, remember there are 2 quizzes you need to take in M14 before you can move on. Okay? Make sure you take care of those pieces. Okay? Make sure those are done. Okay? And if you need extra go-throughs on them, if you need extra chances to get them, please email me. I'll help you as I can, and we'll go from there. Okay? Alrighty, so for the M15 lesson, there's another piece that we're going to look at as well on Monday, if we have time, okay, and I hope we will, and that's the subject of counter-arguments. This is a piece on lesson 15. Now you can see that they have a slideshow there. Okay? Basically, the best essays address the counter-arguments. You don't just make an argument, you also say, hey, this is what somebody could say against my position, but here's why they're wrong. Okay? There's a whole bunch of ways that you can do this. Okay? So with any argument or opposition, there might be alternative or opposing positions. Okay? These opposing positions are called counter-arguments. For example, if my argument is that dogs are better pets than cats because they're more social, but you argue cats are better pets because they are more self-sufficient, well then your position is a counter-argument to my position. There's a number of ways you can do counter-arguments. In the Middle Ages, often when I taught history, I gave my students an example of a gentleman by the name of St. Thomas Aquinas. He was a scholar in the Middle Ages, brilliant fellow. He figured out the Big Bang happened without the use of a telescope, just using logic. A very, very smart guy. When he ever would debate somebody, he would usually start off by saying his opponent's position and basically stating it better than his opponent could. This is what you believe, correct? Yeah, that's it. Okay, here's why you're wrong. And then he'd start taking it apart. Okay? So you can start with the counter-arguments if you want to. Okay? It basically shows, if you have a counter-argument, it shows that you understand, number one, that other positions exist, you've considered them, and you can respond to them in advance. Okay? Doing this gives you credibility, and it can only strengthen your own argument. Okay? So in a counter-argument paragraph, you've got to identify the opposing argument, and you discuss then the reasons. Why is that argument weak, unsound, or illogical? Remember we looked at all those fallacies at the beginning? This is a great time to tell me if there's a fallacy at work in there. And close your paragraph with the reason why your argument is stronger than the identified argument. Okay? Now they give you a counter-argument sample, okay, on M15 lesson on counter-arguments in the slideshow. It's on slide number 5. Okay? And I think that's pretty much all we're going to be doing at this point. We're going to be looking at counter-arguments. So I'm hoping that in all of your final copies, okay, whether it's on your, and we're not talking about your midterms, we're talking about your final papers, which are going to be starting after your midterms are done. Okay? But once we start looking at your final papers, I hope that your final papers that you'll turn in at the end of the course in December will have at least one paragraph showing a counter-argument. Okay? Well, that's mainly what we're looking at. Thanks so much. And we'll just end that there for now. Okay? We've been chatting for about 10 minutes, so we'll just go from there. I'll see you guys again on Monday. Thanks a lot, everybody, for being such awesome students. Take care.